All right, you're live. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to In the Free Zone with Norm. We're doing a very special episode tonight. It's a sad occasion, but we don't want tonight to be a sad thing. We want tonight to be a joyful thing. We're all here to remember Travis Williams, a person that had a big impact on all of our lives. We have a lot of Travis's friends here and Travis's family here, and we're just here to kind of celebrate Travis's life. We're going to just kind of have a conversation and share the good memories of Travis. Nathan, you're one of the first people that I talked to as we started organizing this, Nate. Well, first of all, I suppose let's all go around and introduce ourselves. We have
Sean Lusk, Justin Trout, Nathan Graybill, TJ Worth, Jimmy Egan,
Mark Williams. Yeah, Nathan, you were one of the first people I talked to here, and so why don't you kind of start us off by telling us, share with us, number one, tell us what Travis meant to you, what your relationship was, but also share with us one of your best memories of Willie.
Damn, you're gonna put me on the spot right
Yeah, well, that's the way it works, man.
Break down. What was the question?
So,
no, I got it. I always saw Willie. Always looked up to him. Kind of saw him as a big brother. I mean, obviously, he was a lot bigger than I was. But he just did things the right way. Earlier this evening we were over at Jay and Carrie's, his parents, and we were sharing some stories, and one that sticks out is, when we were playing football together, I was a lot smaller than he was, but he made me better. If it was me against him in like the Oklahoma drill or one-on-one, whatever, it didn't matter that we were, best friends. He was going to go full force, and it hurt.
Or 100 pounds lighter.
Yeah,
I mean, you.
Both of us. It hurt, but it definitely made me better. And so many memories over the years. Getting a chance to grow up with him since third grade.
Yeah.
And then, through college, we, would visit each other. But then when he asked me to move down to Texas, it was awesome. It was, he kind of encouraged me to take that chance. I was in Topeka for 5 years and, really didn't know what I wanted to do. And, I went and visited him one weekend, and we went to 24-hour fitness. That's where he was training at the time.
Right.
And, college, I wasn't working out anymore. It was college, but, got back into it. And then he encouraged me to take that chance, go do sales, go do gym sales. What do I know about that? But he encouraged me to do that. And, some of the best times we had, Sean was there too, shortly after me, fixing up the house, freezing our asses off because we didn't have any heat. And then in the summertime, we didn't have any AC, so we spent a lot of time at the Irving Mall. I think I saw wedding crashers like 8 times that first summer I moved down. But I just I looked up to him, saw him as a big brother. He protected me, he protected all of us at some point.
And that's something that I saw with you and Travis over the years. Yeah, you were almost more like brothers than like friends, and I think that's probably true of more than just you. I think that's probably true of most of you. Travis was that kind of guy, and that's one of the things that we all want to remember about him. Go ahead, Sean. You look like you got something you want to say.
Well, I was just going to say he conveniently. I always got something to say, but he conveniently, when Travis asked me to move down, he conveniently left out that there was no AC or heat. But I can tell you, there's so many good times with Travis, and I was thinking about this week. We went to grade school together. He lived right across the alley from me.
Right.
and we went to grade school together. We went to middle school together. We went to high school together. We even went to junior college at Garden City. Like we went 1 year there, and then I went to 1 year at Seward. But then we were 3 years at Kansas State, and we lived there together most of those 3 years. And then off and on, I lived with, like, he asked me, and I can tell that story here in a bit, but he asked me to move down, and I lived with him off and on until I got married with my kids. So outside of my parents and my wife, I lived with Travis more than anybody in this world. And, you know, he changed my life in a profound way. I mean, so my mom had gotten cancer, and I moved back from Kansas State, I was living with Nathan at the time in Washburn and doing banking. And then I moved home when my mom got cancer to help out with the restaurant and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She got better, and then, you know, I'm here in Elkhart, and they're, you know, to me, and though, you know, I love Elkhart. It's the greatest place in the world to grow up. But, you know, at 25, there just weren't a lot of female prospects and a lot of job prospects. And, you know, I was probably starting to go down a path that wasn't going to really end real well for me. And one day, Willie and Nate called me from the Rangers game, and Travis is like, "Hey man, come on down. I got a room for you." I'm like, don't tempt me, Willie. Come on now. Don't play with me. And he said, "Yeah, come on down. No, seriously. Come on down." And I was like, "Don't play, buddy." And he's like, "No, I'm serious." Okay, I'll be there next week. And so I went. I got a job at Fidelity. I've been a financial planner ever since. And, you know, he was there the night I met my wife. And you know, I said, no doubt I would have kids today, but I wouldn't have my kids. You know, they wouldn't be Juliet and Luke, and that's the best thing that I've ever done with my life and ever will do. And he was there in every moment, and he was a great man.
Yeah, and that's it. That's a great tribute, you know. TJ, how about you?
Yeah, so I told this story over at Jake Perry's. You know, I started, they talk about these grade school stories, but I didn't start going to school in Elkhart until eighth grade. So, you know, I played baseball with them, but when you go transition from schools, especially eighth grade, and it's kind of you know, it's a big deal. You know, you're eighth grade, you don't really know these kids. You played sport, baseball, summer baseball, but one of the guys that made me feel so welcome was Travis Willie, and he from the beginning made me feel included in a lot of things, and that's where we really started our friendship, and that's always meant a lot to me. And all these people that I went to school just made me feel welcome, and it just shows the type of person he was then, and then the man he became. And you know, we kind of grew apart when everybody went their separate ways, but you know, when my daughter was doing club track, I'd go down there and stay at Nathan's house and see Willie. Hadn't seen him for a long time, but it was like we never, it's just boom, it's never skipped a beat, you know, and just fun to be around. And he had a passion for life, and if you ain't going hard, don't go. You know, it didn't matter. He went hard.
Yeah.
And he expected you to, and he grabbed all of you, and you know, he got the Willie squeeze, and many times, and I'm a little bite-sized guy, and just bigger than life, and you know, but you know, just a humble man, and you know, I'm gonna miss him, and you know, I just, you know, like I said, you know, Nathan and Sean lived with him, you know, after they got to college. I already had a daughter, but when I'd go down there and be able to see him, you know, it just, you know,
that to me is always one of the best measures of a great friendship. If you can not see somebody or not even not talk to them for 5 or 10 years, and then you run into them or talk to them, and it's just like you
never left off.
You never missed a day.
Oh yeah, I think there were several times where I skipped 6 years, and I'm like,
if I ended up in Dallas or whatever I was doing, you guys would come to the hotel room, come chill, just like nobody ever skipped a beat.
Right now. Yeah.
But yeah, I know that the toughest teddy bear that you'll ever meet. I promise. And he always tell me, I mean, you guys can beat this out if you want, but don't be a pussy. I got you. And he would put that. He would put that in. He would write me. Don't be a pussy. I got you. And I said, what do you want to do? Okay, but like, man. You don't gotta squeeze me so hard, Willie. A man that, like, I mean, and he was around, today, I got to talk to my daughter, and she really don't remember. My son had reached out to me this week, and he remembers Willie, and that he was, great with kids, and I think, with all of this happening, this whole week's been a blur because a whole lot of stuff came out of this whole week with. Whether it's, the four of us, the five, however many are here, but have rekindled some stuff that we haven't talked in 3-4 years, and he brings all of it back, in some way, some sort, and, and that's what Willie does. So he's always been the rock of our friendship, and that's Willie though, and really his core, and. Couldn't ask for a better brother than what Willie was. Yeah.
I'm going to kind of let Mark talk here in just a second, but I want to say a couple things about Willie and Mark and just the Williams family. My family has been around the Williams family for a long time.
Years.
Yeah, exactly. My dad coached. Did he coach your dad?
Coach Tony.
Tony, yeah, I knew he coached your uncle, but yeah, I wasn't sure if he coached your dad or not. But anyway, my dad coached Mark, and I was just getting started over at Hugoton when Mark was in high school, and I coached Mark his senior year there.
Freshman year too. You were
Freshman year too.
Oh, yeah, teaching, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah. So yeah, I and then had the privilege of coaching Tyler and Willie when I got here. So and I knew his granddad Buzz was always around when I was a kid. And so, I've been around the Williams family and had a real relationship with them. Mark, first of all, you're quite a bit older than Willie, right?
8 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, I always figured that some of Willie's toughness probably came from you picking on his ass all the time.
I kind of told that story, and it's been a emotional roller coaster the last month or so.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say the least. But him and my brother Tyler both, they grew up tough, and I was hard on them.
Yeah.
But they were tough kids, and I, through the roller coaster of emotions over the last few weeks, everything that's happened, start bringing up a lot of thoughts, and I got to thinking about you, and that's why I asked you when I came in which years, because I knew you graduated right there. You played on those teams that we had that went to the playoffs. We had a really good run in the late 70s that I got to be a part of because of my uncle. And Galen Hancock told me one day, and I don't know, he probably wouldn't even want to say this out loud, but at one time Galen had a great college career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And was invited to play for the Chiefs, invited to go to camp for the Chiefs. And Galen was a couple years behind my uncle. And he told me one day, and that class in the late 70s, they were studs. And he told me one day, he said, your Uncle Tony was the stud of all the studs.
Yeah.
And he said that class was full of them. Well, I was lucky enough to, the 2 years I got to play in Hugoton, Rob was there, I played for his dad. And I got to thinking about when we were coaching you guys in baseball. One of the greatest memories, I refer to it all the time.
Yeah.
And that class in front of you that had Tyler and that handful of kids in there, and then you guys were fantastic. I mean, anyway, that comment what I'm getting to is you guys had a class full of studs. And at the end of the day, Travis was kind of the stud of studs. And when Galen said that about Tony to me one time, this was 15 or 20 years ago when he said that to me, but it just kind of started revolving back and all the memories and all the stuff about coaching you guys and just how cool it really was and the impact that it made, and not only on me, on you, but you on me. But you guys, I mean, Bryce Hines, the James Jenkins, is the Justin Trout. I mean, you guys had one of them classes.
Yeah.
You just didn't, and every class isn't that way. But he was right there, and that comment, the stud of studs, and that meant a lot in your class because you guys were that class. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
looking back on it the last few weeks, and Robbie played on a couple of teams in Hugoton that were 10-1 type teams, and we had a lot of success right there. So, and I was lucky enough to be a part of that all the time from the time I was a little boy, all the way through the late 70s, all the way through the 80s. Got play part of it, and just you guys know, right, especially right now, best memories of your life. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I know one of the things that I'll remember the most about your class is when we played Heights your senior year. I think Heights may have been ranked number 1 in the state at the time, and we shut them out. And I think 7 times they had a first and goal inside the 10. Maybe it was inside the 20, but definitely 7 times in the red zone, and we managed to shut them out.
I was looking at our senior on sports book. I told us at Willie's parents' house just a little bit ago. We had 83 yards of offense, and we gave up 250, but we didn't give it up. I mean, we held them when it mattered.
Yeah,
17
absolutely.
nothing.
Yeah, the fact that they were down there 7 times and never scored, that's huge.
Bend don't break.
Yeah.
Bend don't break.
Yep. And that, and TJ, you were playing on the defensive line.
Yeah. 135 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if I remember right, we were a little thin that year, and James Jenkins was basically our only backup. He backed up every position from defensive line to defensive back that night.
Well, and
So-
I'm thinking you guys didn't even have enough kids by about mid part of the season that when I came down and watched a couple practices and you were having to do half line drills because you didn't even have enough kids to run a full scrimmage.
Yeah, that sometimes happens. You have years like that. You have some injuries, and you maybe just have a couple of small classes in school and things like that, and that happens.
Yeah. Tara,
how are you doing over there?
Good. I was always the one that tagged along with all the guys.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're kind of our lone female tonight.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any friends.
No, hanging fun.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah. I was like, you guys are my
It was funny.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the picture taker basically in the room. So I got all the naughty moments. And I've looked for 3-4 days obsessing. I went through 7 tapes.
I saw that. Yeah, you've been digging through.
And guess what? I finally found them today. I had a few breakdowns and then I found them. So, but we all had a really good time. Like I think I probably had a different relationship with each of the guys. Like
Absolutely.
I watched them and all their girlfriends and all the fun stuff. And Willie came back recently and we've hung out a few times, but we talked a lot on the phone. There was one night where Nate and Willie called me. It was like a 5-hour conversation. We were on FaceTime and
As soon as they called me, I went over to my garage. Willie's like, "What are you
It was,
doing?"
it was
in the
during the
garage.
pandemic.
yeah, it was the best.
3 a.m. It's like
Yeah.
woodworking, man.
That's what I
They
was
must have
thinking.
just got
This
off
call
the
probably took place at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Willie was just rattling it off. Let's call this person. Let's call this person. Let's call this person. So we get those.
phone.
Okay, let's go to somebody else.
So we're on the phone and they're like, take us over to your mom and dad. We're gonna have a shot with your dad. And I'm like, it's 2:00 in the morning. Nope, take me over there. So here I am with FaceTime, walking over to mom and dad. My dad's in bed. I'm like, Nathan, let's have a shot. And he's like, all right, I'm good now. And sure enough, they all had a shot. It was a great night. So, but I don't know. But yeah, me and Willie talked a couple times since he's been back, and
Yeah.
he's told me all kinds of things about how he's so proud of Ava and like
Yeah.
his friend. And it's been good to see.
Justin, I hadn't gotten around to you yet.
That's fine. It's just hearing all these different stories just brings back so many. And I can't give you memories of the last 10 years because I haven't talked to any of these guys for I don't know how long. I don't know.
Right.
But
Mhm.
I can go back to seeing Willie or being around Willie. He was, the best of the best. He was.
Yeah.
But the leader that he was, on the basketball court, on the football field, and that bear hug that he gives you, and that was one of those deals that if you ever got it, you know it. And if you weren't, if you weren't one of his friends, brothers, you never got it. You know what I mean? It's just one of those deals that he reserved for you
So,
guys.
It was a bear hug with one arm.
for a second.
Yeah.
When Sean moved down there with Nate and Willie, we must have both been back home, back here in Elkhart for something. And, Sean's coming over. And we're at the house, we riding around, whatever we were doing. Who knows what we were doing? Probably something we shouldn't.
I got a pretty good idea.
Yeah. Sean's man, we ain't got an air conditioner. I'm running around in the wintertime. I've got 6 hoodies on or sweatshirts on. And so I called Willie or Nate. I don't remember which one it was. And all I hear is Willie is, he's being a pussy. Sean told me, like, yeah, Will, because Travis, he really never, ever, ever wore a coat, right?
Or
Did you
jeans.
ever see the dude in a coat?
Did
Did you ever see the dude in a coat?
No, not a coat, but I did see a couple. There was a couple pictures where I actually saw him in jeans. I
Yeah,
said,
like 2.
"Whoa, yes,
Yeah,
two.
two.
There was two. But those are the only 2 that was like ever available. I don't care what y'all say. There was and then the other ones where he had khaki shorts on. But other than that, he was in gym shorts and a t-shirt.
Yep.
I couldn't find something that he was in a hoodie.
Right, so that's where I was going. Willie's like, I got a t-shirt on, and Sean's over here bitching he's got 3 shirts on. That dude, I don't know how he did it.
That ain't. The first night I went there, it was so cold. I did have to. I had to have my hood on, and I could still see my breath. The next day, I went and bought an electric blanket. But I guarantee you, the kid or the guy was in his shorts and a t-shirt, probably sweating in the other room, just like
When he told this story the other day, he said he went to get the electric blanket, and what he kind of left out was when he got down there, Travis didn't tell him there wasn't any walls in the house. They were remodeling. And we went and bought the electric blanket, and Travis said, "You can use that blanket, but you ain't plugging it in."
Hell yeah! You're not gonna plug that shit. We're trying to make money on this house. Yeah. Keep that thing on low. Mid most.
I was looking forward to going to work because we had the washing machine and the dryer was in the bathroom, so I'd have to throw my clothes in the dryer before getting out of the shower. So I'd jump out of the shower real quick, throw on nice warm clothes, and then put on another coat just in the morning. You think Dallas isn't that cold, but when you're sitting in a house and it's you're not really moving a lot, it gets pretty chilly during the winter.
Yeah.
Especially for me. At that time, like $1.30.
Okay, well, it might not have been that cold, but in the summer it was hot. I'd get off at 11. I'd go home and look on the refrigerator, and it'd say 98 degrees. What? It's 11 o'clock. Willie, are we gonna buy an AC? No way.
We can't afford that electricity.
Don't worry about it. We'll get it later.
Well, let me ask you guys honestly, and I was talking to my son, who I'm glad's here with us today, but have you guys ever seen a guy that could spin a basketball on his finger the way Travis did?
No.
I was telling Robert that I'd be at the games, and I'm just perched up in my spot, and I'd see him over by the door, and he'd get that ball going, and then all of a sudden he'd walk all the way through the gym and up and down, and I was thinking, you little show off. But he'd keep that ball spinning. He'd walk all the way down the court, and then he'd go up and down all the steps, and the whole time he'd have that ball spinning and never lose it.
Switch
I never,
fingers.
yeah, he just switch hands and yeah. But I never
that
saw
thing.
anybody could spin a ball like that.
That's what I was going to say. It's
I was
that
gonna
big.
say,
Get that fingers that big. I probably could spin it for at least a little while.
Robert was little and he was playing little kids basketball and he was spinning it on his finger. And I finally told him, I said, "You go ask your Uncle Travis how to do that because I have no clue to do
I'll be
it."
honest with you guys. I've coached a lot of really good athletes over the years. You know, at Liberal, at Cimarron, Hugoton here. You know, I coached kids like Kenny Wilson at Liberal, and then Ian Campbell at Cimarron, who was, you know, an all Big 12 defensive end. And Willie is probably in the top 5, definitely in the top 10 athletes I ever coached anywhere, you know. And I've coached pretty good athletes. He was yeah, I think probably a better athlete than a lot of people realized, you know. And to me, one of the biggest proofs of that was when we finally got around to doing some physical testing his senior years. Anybody remember what his vertical was?
Like
30.
Yeah,
It was up there.
it was nearly 40. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about a big kid with nearly a 40-inch
Probably
vertical.
220, 230 at
Yeah,
that point.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a lineman body with a skill kid vertical. You know, that's just gives you some hint of what kind of an athlete he really was. But yeah, he was.
He told me one time, just to allude to that, and he didn't talk to me about a lot about what was going on at college when he got there, but he told me this not within the last 2 years probably, but he said when he got there, there was a kid that was standing next to him, and they were doing their calisthenics testing and all that stuff. And he said this kid from Chicago, or wherever he was from, standing there looking him up and down and looking him up and down. And he said when they got on that line, he said, I blew him away by about 7 yards in the 40.
Yeah.
And he said, he told him something along the lines, I'm faster than you. But he said that guy was sizing him up the whole time, all the way through. And he said when they finally got up to the line, and you know, if you guys haven't been to those type of deals, you know, you're talking there might be 100, 140 kids out there, and they're finding out who's going home first. So when he stepped up to that line and they were sizing him up like he was on the list, and he said that very first 40, he said he blew him away. He had deceiving speed, and if I remember right, guys ended up running him at fullback some that year because somebody got hurt.
Yeah, we played all kinds of people out of position that year because of just a lack of depth. You know, you try to manufacture some depth by playing kids in different positions, and you know, it's just one of those things you have to do. And I say that, and yet there have been at least we had. It's easy to say we had no depth, but the truth is we did. We had a great depth of talent. We just didn't have great depth of numbers. You know what I'm saying? We had plenty of talent. Now, I've coached plenty of teams where we had a whole lot less talent and a whole lot more kids, you know, but we just had some thinness in numbers, you know.
I was curious if we can go around the room and everybody talk about the first time they met Willie.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Great question.
If anybody can remember that. Yeah.
Sean's probably got the best story.
Yeah.
I mean, when he moved here in third grade, you know, I don't really remember the exact moment. That's probably because he was so quiet. But I do remember one of the first times he spent the night at my house, and I think for the first 5 or 6 hours, we didn't say a word to each other, just sitting there watching TV. And then
What, Beavis
finally,
and Butthead? Was it
no,
Beavis
some sports and
Oh,
something.
Sports.
But then we started talking about basketball shoes and like the basis of our entire conversation the whole night. So yeah, he was a little reserved, a little quiet when he was younger. But Sean, I'm gonna let you take it away.
So it's funny. He was at. We were at the library where his mom worked. I'm guessing she was in there, third grade, and you know, back then I ran with a pretty tough crowd, and always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. So I was a little bit of a bully, I guess you could say. Uh, I don't know what happened that led to it, but we got into an argument, and I took my skateboard and I hit him, and he just stepped back, grabbed that skateboard out of my hand, and said, "Okay, now it's my turn." And I thought, that's not usually how it works out. So I ran up to the little tornado slide. It was just a little one. I had to like wait there and wait him out till he like figured out, or I don't know exactly what happened, but he, in 1 second he wasn't looking, and I took a shot straight to my house, and it was only up the alley about 2 blocks. He wasn't here, so he didn't know. But I took off when he wasn't looking. I don't know how. Like he was right next to me. Right, he lived right behind the alley from me, and somehow we got to be best friends. I guess probably because it was more of a lack of options for him to have me my friend. We were only 2 kids on the block, and we finally made up. But that was Willie. That was Willie. It's my turn, buddy. Like,
I really can't pinpoint when if it was baseball. I don't remember the day that I said, "Hey, Willie, I'm Jimmy." Or I don't remember. I really don't recall. Yours is easier because you're way older, but
Yeah, I mean,
You
I
remember?
knew him in
Like,
baseball because I played against him, but I didn't.
yeah,
The day you and him both, what class you guys said wood shout.
yeah,
Both of you, like, you're with us.
Yeah.
And you grabbed a hold of me, but that whole week, you guys made sure I got over to the high school, and then I probably really met him when he hit me in 8th grade football.
Well, yeah,
You were- because
welcome.
we would be in line. You'd be like, we're counting, making sure we didn't skip in and Travis Williams. We don't want him.
No, or heat. Like we didn't want nothing to do with heat.
Yeah.
Because
You always make sure, hey, you grab me. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was another one that was solid.
we always figured out who we didn't want to. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm done with this stuff. Like, who does this? This is dumb.
Like, you're
so
weak.
I really can't. I can't pinpoint when exactly. I don't have that good story on when.
You didn't hit him with the.
No skateboard. I just dunked on him. We just went and lowered the goals. I could dunk on him, so we can be friends now.
Of course, leave it to Sean to think that a way to meet people is hitting them with a skateboard.
Yeah.
Seemed to work out well.
Is that what you did? Is that how you met your wife? What'd you say with?
It's not quite a skateboard.
Didn't you tell me you ended up keeping your skateboard and then he tried to trade it back to you a couple weeks later for something else?
He might have. I can't not remember, but yeah, that sounds like that might have happened.
I was thinking that's what you told me. So you took your skateboard and a couple weeks later, Travis come up with some deal that Sean had something he wanted, so he was going to trade you a
Just trade him his own
skateboard.
skateboard. Sounds like you dealed him in.
I wish I could remember. That may be it. That may.
Well, and I think these guys were 13, and it's the first year of Babe Ruth, and I was home working in the oil field from college, and we coached the Babe Ruth team, Dad did. And we didn't have I don't know if you want to say a lot of support. We had great parents. I'm not going to say anything like that. We had great parents supporting the kids, but we had 2 vans. We had 2 blue vans.
Right.
So we would make a lap around and pick all the kids up for out of town games. Well, halftime is we'd make a lap around town to pick them all up for the hometown games too.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody ended up loading those 2 vans, and we'd drive to wherever.
Yeah.
And the whole team was together the whole time, and a lot of times they all ended up back at the house, and they had a group of kids, and they were a good group of guys, and they all were really tight for a long time.
Those bands were epic. Both of them.
I shouldn't say this, but since I said it,
They like to go through
I'll
cornfields.
go ahead and say it to the rest of the world, but we had those old vans, and they're ugly, and there wasn't nothing cool about them. Wasn't like you had a Camaro or something, And I don't remember if it was Tyler or Travis, but one of them was complaining because that was the vehicle that they could take on Friday or Saturday night. And I finally looked at him. Of course, I'm in college by this time, but I had that van too. Yeah. And I remember at some point walking down the house, and I said, "You guys are crazy." I said, "Man, you could put a keg of beer and 12 girls in that van." And after that, Travis had the van every Saturday.
My kid had a van when I was a kid. They would have never let me take it.
They let us take it. And at that point, that was the collective ding.
Yeah.
They had the van every time I came
Hey,
in.
I'm glad gas
They were
was
all
at $3.35 a gallon now.
Yeah, Willie.
Sometimes you just park it and say, "We're not moving gas. Okay, I'm buying gas."
Paddy wagon.
Gas money. Let's go.
The paddy wagon.
Yeah, we did have the paddy wagon there for a while. That was a good time.
Another thing I wanted y'all to talk about, I was talking to Nate about a little bit. You guys had a house in high school without adults and stuff. So
No.
No,
Without-
we did
without-
not.
Totally
That's not-
supervised.
without copying any felonies, what was it like to just kind of get to be yourselves at a young age and sort of figure out life on your own? Well, you know, your parents were in the same town, but you kind of had like the run of the roost in that trailer. Like, what was it like?
That trailer, that was
Again, no felonies.
So you're
that,
talking about
that trailer that was one block down from the police station. Going on in there.
no parties. I mean, all my curfew.
Gee whiz. Yeah.
No comment.
I get it.
Oh,
Take it to my
we
grave.
had those pictures.
All that happened was they made chocolate chip cookies and
Pancakes. We did pancakes quite a bit. Pancakes and scrambled eggs and onions. That's what we cooked for lunch. Sean would get pissed because you'd never have enough eggs. You'd always buy a dozen eggs and you'd get there 2 eggs. But that's what we did for lunch. We did scrambled eggs and onions for lunch, pancakes for supper. And I swear I saw someone smoke a black and mild on the porch once.
Just one time.
One time. One time.
One time. And there was a little alien that ran around there. And I'm not sure what he done. Guy. Yeah, there was a little guy. That was about it.
It was a lot of
Guy.
memories, a lot of good memories. A lot of fun ones.
yeah.
Danny, you ran into the door once, didn't you? You know, come.
Yeah. Say, Danny, you're not going to admit to anything.
Thankfully, we didn't.
I would like to, I would like to.
There was no social
Tara,
media. That is what
picture.
saved us.
Golly, but just think about what could have been if you guys would have had cell phone or anybody would have cell phone. Just think if the Hugoton people would have had cell phones, or maybe the people over in Johnson would have had cell phones. Can you imagine the kind of trouble that y'all would have been getting into?
The pictures,
Yo.
not counting the ones I put back.
That's okay.
Yeah,
If those would have went on social media,
Oh
we would have never gotten
man, a job.
Probably wouldn't have found spouses. I don't know.
yours was in the picture. So
Those,
I know he
I
knew
see 'em.
exactly what he was getting into.
you were over there. I see you, Casey.
He begged for that.
I always kind of like to fancy part of Willie's, bulking up to me cleaning the restaurant at my parents' restaurant.
oh, we were forced just like,
We were
oh my
cleaning that
god.
restaurant. My dad gave me the key, and man,
Those were some good.
I think that might have been one of the it was just one of the greatest times. We would go in after the restaurant shut down, and then we would pull out this 55-gallon drum of chips and salsa. And I remember Travis would just go to the trough. I mean, he would go to the trough on that thing. That thing would be stacked full of chips, and he'd be over there eating the salsa and drinking the gallon of salsa and pouring more. I mean, we would just sit down there and eat chips and salsa and make sandwiches and just hang out.
But Sean acts like it's so cool because he would freak out. He'd be like, we'll never we can't be like
The cream puffs.
Well, well, I mean, Sean would lose his shit.
yeah, he would.
Well,
Willie that. Like, really, come on.
No.
So after he would eat half of that 55-gallon drum of chips, I started freaking out. Like, oh my gosh, we're not gonna have chips tomorrow. These guys are trying to get some of the cinnamon rolls. I'm like, we only got like 8 left. Come on, guys. Like, just one more. And then it was
So can somebody please let me?
it was just.
It wasn't a real vacuum cleaner. All you had to do is just push this little deal and suck everything up.
But
Then we take turns, eat the
I'll
rest.
just say that was the most expensive thing my dad ever spent at the restaurant was hiring me to clean that thing.
That sounds
We
about
were just, I mean, we were teenage boys, so it's a bottomless pit of just eating and eating and eating, and it was awesome, man. Those are some really good times. But Travis always loved that chips and salsa, and I think Willie's the only one that my mom ever actually gave the recipe to. She didn't give out that recipe, but I think she saw what Willie had done for me in my life and gave him that recipe. But he probably asked her for it more than once or twice. One of those deals. So anyway.
Yeah, he liked to eat.
Quietly persuasive.
He was quietly
Once, and
persuasive.
then I'll look at you
It's okay. And I said,
again. Tell me or
Quietly persuasive. That's a great way to
not.
think about it.
That was
Yes.
That's one thing I'll say about having coached Willie. He was a great leader, but he was not a real vocal leader. He led by example, and he led in other ways than being. He was not a cheerleader, but he was a great leader. He really was.
Remember the one time in the locker room that he did get vocal?
yes.
We talked
It was
about
right
this
next to me.
3 or 4 times last week.
I they were telling the story and the look in James's eyes. James was so scared, and I looked over and I got scared because Willie had him.
He
picked up
grabbed
off the
him,
ground.
picked him up by the throat
Yeah.
and said, "Quit running the ball like a pussy."
It was screamed very loudly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I missed it obviously because you guys were, but I've heard the story a time or two.
Well, and I don't know if you guys know this, but James drove 6 hours each way to
He did.
spend 7 hours each way to spend
3 hours.
a few minutes with Willie.
Yeah.
And
You know,
then he got
when
that
he was
tired
still
and stranded in
uh,
Oklahoma City at like 4 in the morning.
When Willie was in the hospital, he did that, and that's
That's
that's the
quality
kind
of
of person that Willie was. That's the leader that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
He would show you. He didn't have to talk. He didn't have to say something. When you were on the field with him, you knew by the effort that was put out.
Yeah.
He put his effort on the field, and that was the leadership. He left it on the field.
Yeah.
You didn't
even
have to.
even the court though, like
Or
when you call a
court, or
timeout, and you knew if
anything.
Willie was coming over bitching at you about doing something, it's like my fuck, dude, okay, and he handled his own at 5. He's listening on the right. He's 5'11". Yeah, he's listening at 5'11". But I promise you, we never beat Stanton County. Like F them guys. I mean, they're cool now, but but he could handle his own against each one of them, and he was bound and determined. Give me the ball down low, or like I said, he was always on me on my defense. But I promise you, when he would come to me in that huddle, it was just like, here comes Willie, and I was scared.
You know,
Yeah, I already know it's coming.
he's
Willie.
worse than the coach. Yeah,
Yes.
you knew it was coming.
Yes, but you knew. Well, but he was only at your ass to make you better. But yeah, you knew what he was certainly doing it for the right way. But I mean,
He was
better.
excellent.
Yes, he was. Yes.
Around you, and he didn't have to say it.
No.
But when he did,
Oh, yeah, squeeze it.
you know when it got that time that he started voicing out, you better. It was time to take a step back and start to reevaluate how you're living your life, because he was sure a man among men.
Yeah, that's one thing that as a coach, you coach a lot of players, and most of the players you coach, even a lot of the best players, they're not really they don't have the right personality, don't have a lot of the right character traits to be coaches. Willie would have been a great coach, I think. he definitely had the character traits and the knowledge and all of that kind of stuff to have been a good coach.
I kept telling him when he came back here, I was like, dude, you should totally be a coach. Oh,
Yeah, I know he. Yeah,
all right, thank
Yeah,
you.
well,
He would have been a great coach.
Yeah.
yeah.
He would have been a great coach.
I think he would have.
he would've.
At the
Yeah.
same time, I also think he had a drive to make a little more money than coaches make, probably. You know.
And I don't think he has a tolerance for a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
quietly doesn't have the tolerance. He's not gonna say it out loud. He's just gonna ignore it.
Yeah.
And then move forward. You know.
Norm, I sent that to you. Did you get the article?
The Psycho Gym article. Yeah,
Psycho
yeah,
Gym.
absolutely did. Yeah.
The magazine, Dallas Best. It
Yeah.
was the Dallas Best fitness program 2011, and
Yeah.
that was the year they had the Super Bowl there. And he always would tell me this story. But he was doing kettlebells and he was doing the sledgehammer on the great big tires.
Yeah.
The ropes before
Yeah.
anybody. I mean, this like, what are we doing here? Even in the article at the end, it says, "Does that sound a little barbaric?" Well, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that was exactly right. He loved to do that, just those kinds of things, and that just shows you how great. I mean, in a town of 6 million people, he had the best fitness program there.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp, who, by the way, he said was the most shredded individual he's ever seen in his life. He's like, man, you could count the muscles on his body. He's like, but Shannon Sharp, sought him out.
Yeah.
He
Right.
sought him out because he had the kettlebells, and Shannon Sharp at that time was doing the kettlebells, and no other gym had it.
Right.
And his dad told us the story. Shannon Sharp even the gym was closed because it was the weather, the big storm in Dallas, and Shannon Sharp made an effort to come back to the gym later on that day just because he wanted to do that, the kettlebells. And Willie just he was always on, thinking about bigger things, better things,
Yeah.
trying to make people's lives better. And I know I got messages from people who, he helped. To this very day, they're in better health, better shape, their lives are better. He touched so many people, hundreds, if not thousands of people in Dallas.
Hmm. And I have no trouble believing that he had that kind of success because of his drive. That was always the thing with Willie, is he had that drive. Listen, here's what I know about Willie, and that's why I think this evening is a great thing. He wouldn't want us to be sad. He would want us to celebrate. You know what I'm saying? To celebrate his life, but to celebrate each other as well. And so that's one of those things that I know about Willie and why I think tonight's great. And keep that in mind tomorrow too. That when we do a memorial for Willie, that it should be a celebration, and that's what Willie would have wanted. I think.
I never once heard him complain.
Yeah.
It was a rarity. That's
Never.
for sure.
Like never.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yep. I would have no trouble believing that. Guys, we've been doing this, believe it or not, for an hour, and that's usually about what we cut it off. At the same time, if you guys got more to talk about, we got all the time in the world. Okay. But at the same time, I also know you guys have got things you need to do and that kind of thing. So, does anybody else have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'm going to speak for some of us that were in Wichita. This goes out to Mario. We apologize. We had full intentions on coming to see you on the third floor. He was having stuff done, but I think that everything that happened with Willie was just going way too fast.
Yeah.
Everything ended up a blur. And I mean, we talked about it Saturday night that we were going to go down to the third floor and see him. So Mario, if you're listening, or the Mirandas, you guys are listening, anybody, we completely apologize because our full intentions was
make it down to the third floor to go and see you. And I think that's coming from all of us because we did have full intentions on making it down there, but everything everything just kind of happened too fast for us. Shit, the next thing you know, I was somewhere between. I was by Dodge City before I even knew what was really going on. But so first and foremost, Mario, we love you, or Erica or Ricky, whoever's listening, Miranda's. Shout out to y'all too. Yeah. And so that's my bad, but I knew that we were gonna go. Anything else?
I
No,
know
I
it
was.
meant the world to him that you guys all showed up.
Absolutely.
Like I can't even imagine, but just knowing how tight you guys were, like I was kind of like the straggling Nathan's little sister, basically. So, but like he always talked so highly of you guys, and like I was probably the one that I got to hear all like the things that he probably would say. So it was like I love my guy. You know, like when he came to town in November, like he just showed up at the salon. Like me and Danny were down there, and like Billy, I had my furniture down there, and Danny had her shirts down there, and Willie just shows up like with all these girls and like just rolls in, and like I'm like, what are you doing here? You know, and he's full of hugs, and like he's like, what are you doing? What's going on over here? And you know, he's like, I think Taylor would look so good in this shirt. Oh, she needs that shirt. And so we're like pulling shirts out for her. And he's like, oh yeah, that one. And then I'm like, Willie, we forgot the shirts at the salon. And he's like, oh. But he's always thinking. Yeah, he was always thinking. And like he rolled in and he like, we would go months or sometimes years without speaking, but like when he rolls in, it's like back to where we were. Like, you know, we didn't miss a beat, and he always had the best of intentions for everyone. You know, he worried about his guy friends, and like
He was always concerned about all of your successes more than he was his own.
yeah. I mean, I don't think I ever heard him say a negative thing or about anything. Like he was you know, like I'd be like this, and he'd like turn around. You know, like stop. Good.
So I was thinking about this the other day, Monday, after I got off of work. I mean, I think that was the moment that it hit me. It was the first time in 35 years that I knew that I couldn't pick up the phone and call him and he wouldn't come. He would be there in a minute, anytime, any place, anywhere.
Right.
That man has my heart. He was there for me through thick and thin. And I hope he knows when it was time I was there, I went. And I know he would do that for me.
Yeah.
Willie, I love you, man. I'll miss you.
Yeah, I think that's a sentiment we all share. We're all going to miss Willie. He was a great guy who meant an awful lot to all of us. You know, I want to thank all of you for being here with us tonight, for sharing the stories that you have, and hopefully this is something that Willie's family can listen to, and it'll mean something to them and all of you as well. And so, just thank you for being with us. You know, we'll talk again, and it's great to remember a great guy. But like I said, I do know that Willie wouldn't want us to be sad. He would want us to celebrate. And so try to remember the good times, and you know, because that's what it's about, right? It's about the good times that you share with someone.
And there were a lot of them.
There absolutely were. Yeah, absolutely.
To put the
Well,
kids,
Robin, I
so
wanna
put the
say
kids to
thank
bed,
you.
and we get a part two.
When I saw you because of our family history and playing for you and with you and you coaching them and so much history over the last decades.
Yeah.
I was just
Good family.
elated and I thank you very much for having everybody here and bringing everybody together to do this.
Thanks
And-
for having us.
Yeah, thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
thank you.
Last
Yeah.
thing before we get out of here, just in case anybody's watching and they don't know what time are the services and people that don't know, like where do they go tomorrow?
Yeah, the services will be at 10:30 tomorrow at the Church of God. Yeah. And yeah. So yeah,
And it's Travis Casual.
yeah,
Yeah.
Travis
Which
Casual.
means you can wear a pair of shorts, everything else is optional. I got socks, right? I gotta tell this, just because this is classic Travis. And we're in Wichita and things are touch and go at best.
Right.
And Tequila was there one night at the hospital, and I'm getting this secondhand, so if I make a mistake, let me know. Yeah, here.
Here. I was gonna say, I think it was done.
It'll be better if she tells it because she was actually there.
You want to come get them?
So we're in the hospital and he was retaining a lot of fluid because his body wasn't getting rid of it. And so at night, especially nights before he would have dialysis the next day, they would wrap his legs in ace bandages from toe to knee. And he was in a room that had a bathroom so he could get up and move, but the floor was slick and he had ace bandages. So he also had to wear grippy socks. And the only ones that would fit him were neon yellow. But another thing that he did was he decided that he didn't like the pajamas, which was the hospital gown. So he would also rip off his pajamas at night. So he's got ace bandages up to his knees and bright yellow grippy socks and a catheter bag in one hand. But he's not wearing anything else. And he gets up out of bed and I'm watching him from across the room and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing. It's like the door you are walking to is not the bathroom. And he was like, I know. I was like, he was walking to the hallway. I said, you cannot go out there. And he goes, why? And I said, because you're naked. And he looked at me over his shoulder and he goes, I got on socks. And he walked out into the hallway and he made it 3 steps before somebody in the hallway said, can I help you? And he's like, nope, I'm good. And turned around and walked back in the room.
Yeah. So you know, I got there Saturday, but so from Friday night, I get there and these guys are telling me that, dude, Willie kicked us out at 10. I was like, why? He said, you guys got to go because tomorrow we're going hard. And I said, no, what the? And, you know, and I get there, he's ready to go outside. I said, Willie, you ready to escape this bitch and what? He said, yeah. I said, we're going to have to get a hold of a nurse because I think he really thought we were going to go outside. I was like, well, it's like, Sean, can you tell a story or something? Because I really don't know if we can really get outside. I mean, really, because he asked Sean, said, what's the weather like? And Sean goes, well, it's nice out there. He goes, well, so instead of them keep bringing 3 or 4 in at a time, because the 4 of us standing around at the end of the bed, he said, instead of bringing 4, 3, 4, whatever, what we're going to do is we're going to meet downstairs. And we're going outside. And I was like, say, are we doing an escape or what? He goes, you want to escape this bitch? And he goes, yeah. I was like, oh shoot. Sean, you need to tell the story because I'm going to have to get a hold of a nurse, really, because I'm not sure if that's, I don't know how this is really going to work.
You guys are laughing, but that was when the wheels started really turning.
Oh, man, that was
What's gonna happen?
Dude, I'm telling you, like, that whole
gonna go
Saturday,
well for
though,
me.
I mean, it was a blur, you know what I mean? And then, you know, for us to walk in on Sunday morning and we really didn't, you know, we knew what we was walking into, like, it was crazy. Like, we got to stay that Saturday, you know what I mean, joking around and chit-chatting it up. And I think that it was good.
He'd made up his mind he was leaving. And I mean, he was Travis determined that by God, I'm getting up, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And at one point, I believe you and I put his shirt on, right? And his son was coming to visit him, and he was really excited that we were going to get him there because his son lives in Dallas. And Jennifer and Jackson were on their way, and we kept telling him, they're almost here because he just, when are they getting here? When are they getting here? And, travel delays, all that. And he was bound and determined he was getting up. So we finally, Kayla and I was like, well, he, and he didn't want that hospital gown on. He wanted to be dressed, but he had quite a few wires and stuff at that time. So we get him into a t-shirt, and we had a nurse come in and disconnect, reconnect, do all the deal. We had him in a shirt. Well, then by God, he knows he's going. And in Travis fashion, and clear back to the coaching days when he would pull up and we'd have it out or whatever, and we're sitting there, and he kept saying, "No, I'm ready to go." And I'm sitting there trying to say, "Hey, no, you can't leave. Just stay here. He's coming." And I kept telling him, "Hey, you look good. You look good. You got your new shirt on. You look good. Jackson's on his way." And he's, "Yeah, let's go. Let's get up. I'm ready to go." So, and this goes on for what, hour and a half, 2 hours. And every time he every once in a while, he just look at me and say, "Okay, so I'm ready." And we're having this back and forth. And I finally just leaned down and said, "Travis, you cannot leave." And he swelled up and he says, "So I'm not going anywhere." And I mean, he was just that middle linebacker. "Well, I'm not," but he just folded his arms up and he had all that stuff. And "So I'm not going to get a go." I said, "No, you can't go anywhere." "All right, Jim." And after 2 hours of that conversation back and forth, and luckily about 15 minutes later, Jax got there and everything was cool. But I mean, he went out in his fashion. He was that guy all the way out.
When I talked to him on Saturday, like, he was like, I said, "Hey, I heard you have the whole freaking crew there." And I'm sorry I missed the party. He's like, "Yeah, we were just sitting up, shooting the shit for like days." And I was like, "Good damn." I was like, "I'm sorry I missed it." He was like, "Sorry, I don't understand." And I was like, "Well, I mean, what else is going on?" He's like, "Well, I'm getting ready to go home, so I'll call you when I get there." And I was like, "Bet your ass you will. I'll talk to you later, buddy. Love ya."
Oh, I think when the four of us went in there, you know what I mean? Like one of the last times we talked to him, and we were sitting there talking, and he said, "Why are you guys staring at me like I'm dead?" I said, "No, we're not. No, we're just talking. Like, hold on, what is it?" Sean, say something else. Yeah, he goes, so well, play me some music. I was like, "Shit, I'll DJ this." And so I started playing music. I was like, as long as we keep all the nurses out, I'll throw on we'll throw some music on. But like, I was just caught off guard. I was like, "No, dude, we're not." Like, "No, you're good. You're gonna go to this pizza party. Yes, you get to. You're not gonna go," because he kept telling us he's not gonna go nowhere. I'm gonna have this pizza party. I said, "We'll have this pizza party, brother." But yeah, it was crazy.
I don't know how many people called like nonstop. Like,
Oh, yes, me too. I want to thank everybody that's
yeah,
reached out
like
to me too.
everybody
Like,
called and
it's
tried to, like,
crazy.
trying to relay, and they were like, "Can we call?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, we're trying to like field calls and
You guys,
but it was
so
crazy."
Well, and I always throw out a testament and a thank you from me and our family. But the outpouring of care and love and respect that you guys all showed. I mean, people I'd never even met before, from Dallas, from Garden City, from anywhere he'd ever been. There were outpourings of thoughts and prayers, and it meant the world.
well, it was crazy. There was everybody. It was two in, two out. Nobody you could. That was it. Well, he wheel and deal. He wheeled.
They have this
That's
what
So if I did this, you guys got to let everybody.
He got to deny him. They would want to come in and do something to him.
Right.
And he'd say, I ain't going to let you do it unless you're going to let 3 people come in instead of 2. So then they'd give you 3, and then all of a sudden we'd have 5 back there, and they'd run 3 or 4 people out. And then at one point they just gave up, and
We ended up with
he said, I want everybody. And the next thing you know, a doctor walks by. It's literally about 20. And so then they threw a big fit and ran everybody out of the hospital.
Yeah, they said, well, I know we told you you can have a lot, but we didn't know it was going to.
We didn't know a lot was 30.
We didn't know that we were going to have to yeah, I didn't know I was going to have to reinforce the floors.
Yeah, he was negotiating with them, and he was refusing to let them draw blood, if that's what it was, unless 2 more guys could come in that day.
So many people love that man. Why not? He's a good man to love.
And then of course, in true Travis fashion, as soon as he would give them a razz and have them about ready to pull their hair out, he would start calling them ma'am and thank you so much. He'd just be absolutely polite as Travis could be to you. Yeah, he was buttering them up for the next one he was going to pull, actually.
Well, guys, again, like I said, I just want to thank you for being here and for sharing your memories about Willie tonight. And I want you to know how special what all of you have, not just with Willie, but with each other, how special that is. And that's something that will stick with you for the rest of your lives. You know, and we're going to go ahead and end the show here. But any of you that want to stay and talk and, do whatever, please feel free to do that. Okay? All right.
Thanks, Norm.
Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for being
Thanks,
here.
Derek.